Start with privilege of the floor. If someone here, please state your name and identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Linda Coleman from Windsor Hill Condominiums, and I have two easy questions today. The first one is, where it's the best place that I find out about communication of changes of things that affect our condominium association. There are a couple things that changed, like the new dump fees and manning of the dump, which I think is a great thing. I mean, it's probably a good revenue maker for the town, but it also affects our budgets that happened and we didn't know till after. And I'm thinking I must have missed it somewhere. I try to look at the selectmen's meetings. What's the best place for me to find that kind
Town
of?
website is the best place. And the changes to the hours were posted there. And the new process by which you can't dump unless the attendant is there was posted.
Right, but if I don't know that those changes were made, I don't know to look, like usually I read the selectmen's minutes. That's how I found out about ordinance 19 and 20, because I looked through the minutes, but unless you put in the search bar ordinance 19 or 20, it doesn't come up. So ordinarily any other one, someone else wouldn't know.
Just ask your town meeting.
It should be, yeah.
I put new stuff up, on our dumpsters, but
Sure.
there's gotta, I can't, just like you, I'm not gonna spend a week.
One of the things we're working on, it's an issue beyond communication value, and it deals with dumpsters, trash. Well, we've had public hearings on it. We've had informal discussions. We've met with all the property managers. And what we have to do, and I'm glad you're here for this topic, is we have to create a better chain of communication with dumpsters, because it's not getting communicated to new owners and renters on how dumpsters operate and how the town operates. It's not getting communicated to the town in an effective and quick manner if there's a problem with a dumpster. And what we're trying to do is create the chain of command from you to your property manager to the town.
Yes.
And we're counting on the boards of directors from the associations to communicate how the dumps work to the owners and renters in each association.
Right. We just put up new signs on our dumpsters.
Right.
It's exactly from the town ordinance, with a picture of a bear on it and everything. And you know what? You come out and you find the trash on top of the dumpsters.
See, this is the problem we're having. We've had meetings, we've had public hearings on this as well, where maybe if we didn't communicate as well, maybe you guys didn't know. But the problem was the public hearings were about communication. And when we changed the fees, it was all through a series of public hearings prior to the fees being changed. But I'm really glad you're here, and I'm glad you're communicating with us, because we're not going to solve this problem. Jim May, who's sitting next to you, is in charge of the dumpsters.
Oh, let's talk after. No, because it's got to work between both of us, and there's no reason it can't. But if I feel like
we get a lot of frustration because the boards aren't communicating well enough, or the owners are ignoring what the boards are saying. And we just had a thing as part of our agenda's last meeting. No, it was North Face. Was it North Face? It was North Face was upset that their dumpster was overflowed. It was overflowed because someone decided to renovate a condo and put it in there and block off all the entrances.
Happened to us too.
Yeah. And we don't know about this until after everyone's worked out and complained. And we just have to start creating and getting more communication.
Right. So however you want to do it, let me know and we'll do it. I will tell you that for this winter at our dumpsters, we're going to have salt bins placed out too, because I know it's always a problem to, get to them in the winter, because you just can't help it. There's a pack of snow.
Yep.
It gets trodden. There's nothing you can do. So we're putting salt bins at both our dumpsters. So if there's a problem, you can just spread it and it'll be easier. There's something else we can do to facilitate working together to get, because I agree, that dumpster situation, I'm ready to put a padlock and a code on it,
Yeah, it actually would, it is that kind of, because it gets frustrating. Our guys get out there, and our guys, the dumpsters aren't cleared because someone has come in and decided to renovate or move over the weekend and leave everything outside of the dumpster. So our guys in the ice and snow, as much as they'd like to be helpful, but they can't
do everything.
All the trash.
And I get it too. And we're trying to be on it. I'm sure you find it here. I don't know, you have a camera here, but people, you tell them, they'll dump anyway. All right, so.
Is that both of your questions?
That's one of them. Write down your phone number. The other one is, are there any plans for electric vehicle charging in the valley overall, or is it up to individual condo associations?
Individual condo associations.
Okay.
You know, it would be, the only place we could do it would be a town hall, and if we had electric vehicles, we could look into it. But it hasn't been brought up and hasn't been that much of a call for it. But if it was on someone, your property, it would be your thing to do.
Okay. Thank you, that was it.
But if you want to bring that up as a, something for town meeting to discuss,
How would one do that? I know one was just put in at Boulderwood. I got an owner at Windsor Hill also asking,
Yeah.
and there's another one, but I just
There's-
didn't know if there was a
there's-
big
there's an
plan.
owner as Forest Knoll who has a charging station as well. But, yeah, no, it's, we can discuss that and tell you how to put it on for discussion next year.
Okay, thanks.
Great, well, thank you for coming in and your input. All right, anybody else with privilege of the floor? Okay. We will move, or we'll wait for Margaret to approve the minutes. What can we do without Margaret? Well, we can't figure out meetings because she's not here to figure out meetings. We can look at finances, but she knows the question for that.
Well, yeah, and the revenue revisions are
Right.
really part of that, so.
Dave, would like to present and get on to keeping the public safe?
Sure.
All right.
Anything going on?
No, pretty, pretty busy in the weekends. Midweek's been a little quieter, but guys have been pretty busy on the weekends.
With what?
Well, number of ambulance calls and some police calls. Nothing.
Ambulance, people, bicycles, trails, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that kind of thing. A few bike crashes and bee stings and anaphylaxis and that kind of stuff. So, dealing with that. Like to, publicly, thank the town and Brooke and Mark for all their support for National Night Out and you out there scooping ice cream. We had a very good turnout, being our second year, and with nice weather. It's nice to see all three towns kind of come together. Nothing but positive feedback from that, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Well, thank you guys. It was a great event. I think it's just gonna get bigger and
It was
bigger.
awesome.
I think so. I think so too. So other than that, working through vacations and so on and so forth. So
Seen a lot of speed enforcement recently.
Mhm.
I think that's a good thing.
it is. We've kind of changed our tactics a little bit as far as expectations for the patrol officers to get out there and generate some activity. This is the time of year that we do it, and I think the new Lieutenant Pear is doing a very good job in managing that and getting everybody out there, getting some more activity. So.
Yeah, and lots of kids on bikes. I think it's great. It's reminding me of when my kids grew up in the valley.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing all these little kids on bikes by themselves, which is what the valley is about to me. That's where your kids can go be kids.
Absolutely.
All right, so we move to Brooke.
Mhm.
Brooke?
So we're in our second to last week of camp, which is our last really big week before we lose all of our staff to go back to school. So it's a big week. We have our talent show on Thursday and our barbecue on Friday, which we're excited to have you be grilling at. Thank you.
Girl to girl.
Let's see, we have the Historical Societies presenting at the Rec Department this Saturday night. I think Jack Sanders will be there. We have, our hiking is going out this weekend and next. We're wrapping up our signups for the overnighter, the AMC Hut overnighter. We have 2 spaces available there. And just really trying to hang with summer and get back to school.
Do we have any numbers from the Denali Challenge?
I saw it posted on a Facebook post, but I don't know what those
Do you know if it
are.
was up or down or?
Sorry, I don't know. Yeah. I didn't talk to anyone directly about it, I just saw them post about it.
Yeah, I had a resident give me an idea, which I think is a good idea, but a bad idea. He said with all these cars parked at the trailhead, we should be putting things like this on the windshield.
Right,
But it defeats the purchase of nature to put something
Yeah.
that someone's gonna throw away.
yeah. Well,
Um,
it is a good idea, because I used to do that with races and stuff, and a lot of it gets thrown away.
But we're talking about nature and this is
Right.
pollution,
Right,
so it's
Right.
just, don't know the answer.
yeah, but I do think they'd be interested in the
Yeah.
information on there,
Yeah, no, it's just the way,
so.
yeah, it's good. And are we able to track and tracking through the lodges, any tangible results from the hiking program? Are we getting any comments on, social media about, oh, went to Waterville Hike?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely where you see most of what's going on is through the social media posts and the sort of the marketing campaigns. I don't know if you've been seeing that come across. I know you're one of our biggest fans. But that's where a lot of the conversations are happening. So in addition to on the trails, people talking to one another and learning more about our programs, it's happening on social media, Instagram and Facebook. That's where,
Yeah.
We're getting out a lot of information.
I see
and
Margaret's
love.
post, but I'm just wondering if we're seeing other people that aren't from here coming out and saying, wow, I did it, it was great.
Right, well, we're getting a lot of questions about the patch program, definitely a lot of cold calls, cold media requests, people calling and trying to learn more about what's going on there.
Good.
So,
I think that would be a good idea to kind of keep track of that for a town meeting.
okay, yeah. Like just each individual sort of,
Just like, oh,
Inquiries.
this month we had 17 calls with people,
yeah,
maybe get some information before town meeting from the lodges, where they said, they saw a lot of new activity with people who would normally be here,
right,
came up to hike.
okay,
Because
Yeah,
that's
that's
what we're
gonna be
aiming.
important for
Yeah.
town.
It's gonna be very, very important.
yeah, okay.
What's your question?
We'll come up with something.
The camp numbers look awesome. We have 5 out of the 7 weeks were over 200 camper days. And we have the second highest camper week ever, well, since 2007. So we're doing really well summer camp wise. We're only 64 camper days off of last year. Last year we were record setting.
Right.
So I think if we have a strong week this week, which it looks like
We
we're
do.
having,
Yeah.
and a pretty good week next week, we can be right in the neighborhood of last year.
We're really,
Um,
those numbers
and-
are, I think, pretty much our max numbers, from last year, like we're full at capacity, like.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. 300
Yeah.
camper days a week is
Right.
capacity. So we pushed, week 7 last week was 286
Yeah.
camper days. That's a full camp. So the bottom line is, even with the slow start that we had, we were off the first couple of weeks from last year. We're still pretty much keeping pace with last year's really good numbers.
I think we were really only off the first week, is that true? Or
Well,
second week also?
36 and then 13.
Okay,
Yeah, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But I think,
Yep.
overall, we're doing really well.
definitely. You're feeling it over there.
Now-
The pressure's on.
You're gonna be really short staffed for the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, most of the staff leaves after this Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have a whole other week of camp.
So you'll
And
have to do a lot of meditating.
Yeah, right. Our general programs too, everyone should know, I guess, in the community, if they have questions, it clearly states in our brochure, but our general programs, which are bingo, rock climbing, all the evening programs, those end this week. Because we just simply cannot staff that, boats, camps, everything.
So this is the last ice cream social tonight?
It is, so better come, get your ice
Ooh, I
cream
will
fix.
be here.
Yeah. So. Good. So that's all I have, really. We're starting to look at fall,
Are you getting pre-registrations for fall already and inquiries from the school kids?
I've heard of a couple new families coming, but no, we haven't gotten any registrations yet. I mean, I really think everyone's just still in summer.
Do you have any idea of the school census from anything you're hearing?
Probably around the same. I do know there's 2 new families in town, but one homeschools, I believe, and another one has kids that will be joining, and I think they're younger, so they might require the after-school care.
Okay.
Well, just one quick thing.
Sure.
I had a friend visit from the Washington area for a week who was a fly fisherman, and he remarked how surprised he was at how good the fishing was this late in the year
Oh.
up here. And I'm wondering if there's been any movement in the past to include this in a program of attracting people up here.
Great question. We actually did include it this summer, but we got kind of a late start, so we didn't really get to advertise it as much. But we also discovered that we would have to have, there's really strict rules about guiding fishing.
Right.
So Eric right now, our new employee, is getting that license so that he can guide as a part of our programming in the spring and in the summer next year.
Excellent.
So what we were doing in the interim was we were trying to do maybe some casting classes, things that don't actually involve going to the river or the pond to pull out fish, because that's where you break the rule. We were just trying to maybe put some casting classes together, but kind of got away from it. So next summer, for sure.
Is there a way to advertise Waterville Valley as a fishing destination as opposed to having classes,
Right.
something like what we're trying to do with the hiking?
We can do anything. We just need the money to do it.
Yeah. It's all about the
Marketing costs
money.
money. It does. But I think, what
Let
you
us
see.
work something out
Yeah.
and put
Yeah,
it in
it's
the
just,
budget
I
request.
thought it was an interesting observation that you made.
Yeah, we should just write that down as a budget.
Something to look into, that's all.
I think we need a comparative analysis of what is a fishing destination.
Yeah,
This is true.
I do think, off the top of my head, that our fishing license sales may be up this year. I know that, maybe a lot of people come here for that already, but so I think spreading the word about it is a good idea.
Thank you.
All right, Jim.
Yes, library is going along swimmingly, the library project. The exterior is probably about 85% complete. There's a few other things that they have to do out there. The low pressure sewer break on River Road was fixed.
What did that cost us?
Hmm,
What did that cost us?
I have not got the bill.
Give me a rough idea.
If I had to throw a number at it, I'd say $3,000.
Okay.
It just has not been patched yet, and it'll get patched as soon as we got some paving to do here in town. So other than that, just the normal stuff as far as maintenance for the roads and whatnot. And they're not the patching is still going on.
Yeah.
It'll
What kind of warranties on that new patch process?
be like a year warranty, you know.
So if it comes out over the winter or next spring, it's.
yeah, it's covered.
Yeah, no, I just want to make
Come
sure.
back and
Well, for those of you who don't know, we're using a new technology in our patching this year, which is supposed to be super efficient, super easy, and super long lasting. So we'll see.
We'll see.
Super expensive.
Tell me more.
Super expensive.
I wanna know.
It's infrared. It's infrared
Someone's-
patching. They heat the area up where you want the patch to be, and then they scarify it with a rake, and it's full depth heat all down to all 3 inches. And then they add whatever they need to add for mix, a little additional mix, and then they just smooth it all out and compact it.
And because the edges are heated at the same
Same
time, there's
There's no seam.
like you have in a regular patch. It's
Infrared. Out of,
If you drive around, if you
It's
drive
the
around
only
town,
way.
these new patches are noticeable because they're a lot larger than a regular patch.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll last.
the
Yeah,
entire
so-
state of New
and they
Jersey
still have some
they
water
don't-
complete.
They don't allow
So
cutting and.
that's going well.
or anything. You gotta use-
Employee-wise, we're, Brooks, part-time gal is left. One of my guys is left, part-time guys, and another one will be gone
That's one. that-
next week.
Yes,
Yeah.
the one who left early, yes.
And then one will be gone next week, but we have since
That was
filled
the plan.
the
Right,
position.
no, I got you.
So,
All right, well, let's move on to your stuff, because we've heard that Margaret is tied up and won't be here. What we'll do is we'll get onto this stuff, then we'll get to the hockey. Make sure
Sure.
get these guys out of here.
Yeah.
Dam project.
Well, I'd rather talk about that in non-public
Okay.
because we have a settlement
All right,
issue.
well, 3 engineering proposal, do we have that yet?
We do, and the
Our
revised proposal is on this sheet. There you go. So they, as I put in my packet notes to you, as we were walking this and planning the engineering from well 3 to the new well building, there was a new person from Hoyle Tanner who had not been here, who we were familiarizing with the situation. When we got to the bridge, we looked at the bridge and the crossing, the water crossing, and he started asking questions that we had never really talked about ever before, which
Give me an
is
example.
that, well, he said, how does the water get from well 2 and well 4 out into the system and up to and we showed him the crossing across Mad River.
It's the one right by the
The
bridge.
one right by the
Right.
bridge that you can see the concrete. I gave
Right.
you a couple of pictures in your pack. When we started talking about that in more detail, we realized that is the distribution system for the entire town. All the water we produce flows through that pipe
Yeah.
to get to and
Tower.
it had never been really asked about what's the condition of that pipe, how long has that been there?
Didn't we assess that pipe after Irene for damage?
Well, we did, and it was not damaged by Irene, it was not leaking or anything like that. But he pointed out, due to the age and the fact that there is some scouring going on the downstream side of that concrete box,
Define scouring for
the sand is eroding away so that the box is becoming more
And more,
and more
Yeah,
revealed.
I mean,
Okay.
a few
There's
years
more.
back, you couldn't even
You
see
couldn't
it.
see it, that's,
Yeah.
and Irene,
Right.
it started to pop up, so.
Mhm.
That's right.
And it's been getting worse.
It's been
Okay.
getting worse. And then if you notice in the pictures, we also noticed that the rebar is showing
Yes.
more and more
Okay,
in the box, okay?
Right.
So the concrete is starting to break down,
gotcha, oh, I see.
Yeah,
right?
which is
So,
concerning.
so
Yeah.
he pointed out to us that before we connect well 3 and well 2 to the new treatment building,
We need to make sure.
we
this
need to
is-
make sure that crossing is secure. So we've been looking at options. We would like to propose that we do design work for fixing the crossing so we do the design work for fixing the crossing now. That's the 50,000 there for engineering. And we, instead of doing the connection of well 3 and well 2 to the treatment building, we have a project for doing whatever repairs come out of this design at the crossing.
So to put off the connection.
Put off the
get this done.
connection until 21, and in 2020, do the crossing.
Okay, I'm looking at this proposal, it's
Yeah.
$50,000.
Yes, it is.
It's
There
not-
is, yeah.
I'm just looking at field recon for $2,500, I get it for 20. Then risk analysis for $7,500.
The risk analysis that we'll do, it actually is not about the crossing. There is an eroding part of the banking between well 3 and West Branch Road, where the West Branch has started to cut into the bank. We want to do some investigating about what options we have for keeping that erosion down. Because the other thing we don't want to do is make this connection and then have the banking erode. Right now,
Okay,
what's that width, 35 feet, 40 feet,
I measured it today and it's 59 feet.
59 feet? So,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
yeah,
this
so
seemed like
that's not related to the crossing.
Okay, no, that's why I'm asking you to see.
Yep,
if I know. All right, permitting, I know is $2,000, that's nothing about it. Design, I can see for 30. 5,000 for bidding, that's writing the RFP.
That's writing the RFP
Which is
and
about
doing
that.
the bid.
And then expenses,
Well,
a lot
that's
of
there.
coffee,
Yeah,
$3,000.
it is.
The new hip waders?
maybe, that's.
All right, well, let's,
So we're looking at, we've estimated the project at around 350, 400. So
just for
that's,
that pipe.
well, yeah, because they've got to go back on
Yeah.
either side, and there's a lot of site work.
No, I'm just trying to figure out this, it just got sprung on me, I'm looking at a
No,
bad
no.
pipe across the road, you're telling me it's gonna be $350,000 to fix it. So we need to know more of the scope of the thing.
Well,
But
and that's
but
what
this doesn't seem out of line completely, to me, as it did
well,
before.
and it was a lot more until Jim and I, we've been beating them up for a week and a half. I'm not even gonna tell you what they first.
Right.
Well, can we find someone else to bid it?
Well,
I know,
Yeah.
we have a relationship, they know
well,
about
no,
this.
it's the being familiar with.
No, I understand this,
The
the to
system.
pay for that, but if you've beaten them down to 50,
Well, no, but we did.
Yeah, but we
talk
did
about
cut a lot of the
engineering.
scope out of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
The engineering for the connection of well 3, what this has taught Jim and I,
Right.
is that we are going to go out with an engineering request for proposal.
okay,
And we're gonna find the best price engineering wise for the bigger piece of the project. Because we can't, this is more of, we gotta get this work done.
no, I understand.
As quickly as we can.
If this goes, we have.
That's right, we have no water, so
A lot of tanker trucks.
we have water tanker trucks and it's not a good.
All right, well, yeah, I don't think we have any choice in this one.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and sign that contract for the 50K.
Okay. Village Trail Improvement Project, moving along for bids, correct?
Yes, it's out today.
And something about the little balls the other day. I missed that meeting.
Oh, yeah, don't worry, we've eliminated those from the
Oh,
signs,
okay.
the icons.
I just didn't have
We're all
the
set.
time that day.
We're all set.
All right,
And the library project tree cutting is, we'd like to give the library trustees up to $3,500 to cut trees. Jim and I do not want to get in, be middlemen in this.
okay, excuse me.
Yeah.
Are we giving them 3,500 beyond the money they have in their account, or is this, we're allowing them to use 3,500?
No, we are taking $3,500 from the repair authorization to cut trees around
Okay,
the library. There are trees that Jim has identified, and we'll make sure that those, because there are safety issues, we'll make sure that those are taken down. But any other trees or whatever they want to do for cutting, we don't want to coordinate that because there's differing opinions. So we have maximized it at,
all right, but the question is, are they cutting trees that could have a negative impact going forward for any future projects? or-
No,
no,
So this is just
No, they are
dead
not.
trees?
these are trees that if they don't come down, when they do
will
come down,
Okay.
they'll be on the building.
Gotcha, I just,
but we want them to work with the tree cutters, not us.
Right.
Because,
this is a public safety issue, if you're talking about trees coming down.
Yes.
Because I don't wanna get into something where they go, well, that was Artemis Fisk's Jr.'s tree where he discovered the theory of yo-yos.
well,
And we
Jim,
can't cut that one down, but that's the dead one that's gonna come down on the building.
Jim will stay in
Okay,
touch with them
I just wanna
and
make
be
sure
a
that,
part of that.
that we
but-
don't omit anything that could be dangerous.
That's right.
because of someone's.
If there's anything like that, we'll come back to
We
you.
went through that at Mountain Brook, where we had a problem with buildings needing staining every year. And people who had planted the trees when they first got there created a huge problem for us to cut them down, even though when we finally took them down, it eliminated the need for staining every 2 years. So I just want to make sure that it's for public benefit.
And
Yes.
we're capping the cost, so it doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna spend all $3,500
Okay.
for that. And the other thing is we're refurbishing the old signs. We are not putting up new signs. That was the final decision by the trustees.
How much money do we have left in the money we allocated for the renovation?
We have about 35,000.
And will that money come back to our undesignated fund balance,
No,
or
it
is that
will
go to the
stay
library?
in that
Stay in
account.
the capital.
It's a capital
Okay,
improvement
so it's a
account.
capital
So we
improvement,
can
but
use it for further, whatever
Right, but it doesn't become a item, it doesn't go into the library trust fund where they can
No.
spend.
No, it's a,
Yes.
it's a project.
Okay.
Okay?
Anything else with you, John?
Not unless you have something for me.
No, I don't know. The other hand?
Nothing.
Over there?
She's good.
Okay, well, now we're jumping on quite a bit, but I know the gentlemen are here to discuss the lease, to initiate a discussion of the lease and the continuing of the lease options.
Yeah, come on up.
So both of you guys, would you identify yourself by name for folks at home?
Fred Gendron. And
John Fontes.
And who are you guys?
we own the Hockey Academy and the LLC that runs the arena called the Waterloo Valley Ice Arena LLC.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Have you met Rich before?
I haven't, but I've heard that he's been to the rink.
Yes,
I've seen some of the issues we have.
yes, I have.
There's a little bird to him.
Hi, Rich.
So I'll start by saying that the lease has a little over 2 years left on it. 2 years this coming December. So at this point, we have three options. One would be to renegotiate a lease with the town. 2, to exercise our purchase option. 3, to walk away. Number 1 appears to be not very feasible at this point, because as Rich and Mike and actually Mark, you guys know, we've got some significant wear and tear on the facility that's going to require somewhere in the neighborhood of about $400,000 in repairs over the next couple of years. And we understand that going to the town with that, our lease renewal, is, to put it mildly, a very uphill battle. And there's no more money in the reserve fund. So that kind of puts a damper on option 1. Let me step to option 3. Walking away at this point would not be good for us. Certainly wouldn't be good for the hotel, so we don't desire to do that. So that brings us to option 2. And it feels like that's the option that, for better or for worse, we kind of have to go that route. So that involves a purchase. But it would also involve getting the repairs done for the rink. So ballpark numbers, the purchase price is probably in the neighborhood of $650K after we do the cost of living where it started at $506. And ballpark numbers, nothing firm, the repairs are about $400. So if we exercise by the terms of our lease, we would go out and seek financing for probably $650. The repairs that are necessary come off the purchase price. So there'd be a check to the town for $250, and then we would have to guarantee we're doing those repairs in a timely manner. So with that said, I think that's where we're heading. We'll be going to the banks in the next couple of weeks and trying to secure financing over the next few months and maybe try to wrap this up by the spring. Now, John he's the vice president of easements today. He has some concerns about easements.
Right.
And so we wanted to run that by.
Yeah, but first off, I'd like to just kind of outline the plan. Obviously, we're open right now and operating until the end of August. Then the plan is to shut the rink down and prepare again for our next tournament scheduled October 15th, and then run all the way into March.
John, can I interrupt you for 1
Yeah.
second? Would you give us a little background on what we've had to immediately address, not just the big things, and the amount of money that we as a town have spent and you have spent?
Yeah.
Because I want people to understand that we have some issues that exist now that are Band-Aid issues that are still significant.
Sure. I'll let Fred talk on that, but I just wanted to
Okay.
give the timeline.
I can give you
Fred,
2
okay.
easy examples. There's a problem with something called the chiller metals. Those are about $160K to repair both of them. The issue with that is if there is a leak, not only does it shut down the rink, it's a safety hazard. It involves evacuating town square, and it could even cause more damage if someone was in the wrong place at the wrong time. So we had one company that wouldn't open us up. Another company said they would, but only after they did a pressure test. We did the pressure test. Then after that, they said, you passed the pressure test, but we're not comfortable. We have another company that did a second pressure test, and then they did a vacuum test, almost a reverse test, and I can't get deeper than that because it's beyond my scope. And they agreed to open us up. That right there costs close to $20,000. We had to remove the ammonia, hazardous materials, so on and so forth. So that 20 grand out the window. We try to open up next year, we'll have the same situation. We'd spend the same amount of money to test it again. And one other example would be the Zamboni. Brand new electric Zamboni, 150K, but you can get refurbished ones, used ones for 50, 60, 70.
And what Zamboni were you using last week?
We were using one from Holderness. Our Zamboni has been repeatedly breaking down. We have put in the last 3 weeks about $12,000 in the Zamboni. So it's good money after bad. And we had to borrow one from Holderness. So this cycle is starting to repeat itself. And that's why these repairs have to
And I
be
just
done.
want to point out for the people at home that Zamboni was listed in the lease as a capital portion of the.
Right.
It is
So it
a-
came
it's
under
a
the
part
town.
of the link.
It's a part of the capital infrastructure.
Right, so the one thing we would like to do is, as we go for financing, we'd like to have the town, I guess, agree or rubber stamp what we deem are necessary. I think in the lease it says we can deem that, if you disagree, it goes to arbitration, but nobody wants to do those
No.
types of things. And the other item, one other item,
Yep.
due to time restraints, if we were able to do one piece of this in September, it could be 100 grand, 75 grand, and you only have 50 grand left in your budget that was originally allocated. What I would like to know is that, let's say, for easy math, it's 100K that we're gonna fix something. You can put in 50, we put in 50, and it's noted that that's going to be part of what comes off the price. And then if for some reason we don't buy it, then we lose.
All right, let me bring up one other point for those folks at home. What we've been doing since you folks have taken over is that because the town has owned the rink and leased it out, we couldn't charge tax to you people as owners.
Right.
But part of the lease was we assigned a value to the lease and taxed it such. And you folks have been paying us a fee each year in lieu of the tax.
Yes.
Where we have been putting that money aside for capital repairs. Meaning the town has agreed that we own this building and we have to keep it operational. And there's a certain cost that's going to be had over the time of the lease. And what's worked out, I have to compliment you guys on, that we've never had an argument on what's a capital and what's not. It's written in the lease, I think 5 years, 15, but it's specifically spelled out. Now, what Fred was alluding to is the 50,000 is the money we've been putting aside every year. And what is a surplus of what we have not spent and the money that's put aside is roughly, is it 66 or 53 or?
Well, we have 66 minus the repairs I've already
Right.
made
Right.
this
Right.
year that we haven't paid yet. So it's gonna be between
50,
40
45.
Right.
and 50.
So that's where the number we're coming from and discussing is coming from. It's money that they've paid us that we're holding in lieu of taxes. So it's,
Yeah, and
none of
getting,
these numbers are phantom numbers.
No,
that are
no,
coming out. No, I'm just telling the people at home that. I know you don't.
yeah, and I'm glad you said that about the repairs, because we have not been ticky-tack at all.
Right,
We spend 30 or 50K a year as part of our operating budget.
Right.
Because as you know, in a facility, there's always an issue, always.
Yeah, so, and I just wanna let everyone at home know that I went through the lease also. I did the calculations, I provided the information to the board. And we're looking at 2019 with our prime rate portion calculation. My number comes out to 693,000.
Okay.
The other option in there, it was either the prime rate inflation or the original price plus town finance capital improvements, which is about 150,000 that Mike was talking about. That's 656. So
That
that's
does not
starting-
include the 60 days.
No, that includes the
Okay.
60.
So we're at
That's every-
650 to 7, right?
So by the lease, we would be starting with the 656.
Okay,
So it'd be 656 minus whatever we agree to as the necessary capital improvements, which based on prior discussions is somewhere between 400 and 450.
Right.
Okay, so the town would be looking at 200 to 215 potentially as the cash amount buyout.
Right.
Okay, so, I mean, I just
Right,
want
right.
everybody to know that that's all information from the lease that we
Question on that.
signed.
I know we don't pay property tax, it's about
Yeah.
25K a year, but it's a substitute.
Yeah.
If we did buy it, do you assume it's going to be similar? It was based
Well,
on the rate?
Yeah, there were some terms that are written out in the lease that we need to be
Right.
considering here in the next couple of months. So we'll provide the clear and marketable title, we'll provide all of the same easements. We'll guarantee as the town, all of the current easements. All the personal property that was listed in the lease is included in the purchase price. Now, there is a deed restriction that's supposed to be put in the deed that the building will remain an ice arena in
I
perpetuity.
totally understand.
Okay, and then, the town would, have first right of refusal, before any transfer to a third party.
Right.
And then that would be also a deed restriction. And then a dry floor event, is permitted as long as the event doesn't exceed 120 consecutive days.
Right. We have two of those now.
And so those are really the only things that would need to be in the deed.
But these are all things for those, anyone just coming in on this has all been in place.
It's all
from
been
the
in place in
negotiation.
2011.
So these numbers
right,
we're
yes.
coming up with and things like that, or we're not coming up with, oh, we will sell it to them for this.
Right, right,
This is a formula where they've had the right to exercise this at any time. They could come and say, we'll buy
that's
it
right, yeah,
for this.
right, I mean,
John,
is there
yes,
anything?
He has some questions on the easements.
Okay,
Yeah, it's in the lease, but, when the town secured the easement for parking.
Yeah.
Back in 2011.
Yeah.
With WCI
Mhm.
and WVRE, I believe.
yes,
Yes, that, during those negotiations, prior to that, both attorneys of the town and our attorney had discussions about the language that would be in there.
Yeah.
And we wanted to participate in those negotiations, but it was, it was told to us at that time that we couldn't participate because we weren't owners of the building.
Mhm.
So the town did a great job, secured the easement, and at that time, in its appendix B of the lease, we had some objections to it.
yes,
The language in there. So basically, if those objections weren't met by the end of the first term of our lease, the town, we could renew that lease under the same terms and conditions as the first 10 years, okay? Now, if the parking structure was built, okay, then those objections is kind of a concern to me that how do we address that if we purchase it?
I think, first of all, you have your deed restrictions and your easements, which are in place.
Right,
The second thing that comes to effect is you're in a butter to anything that's going to be built.
right,
So you have that, but I think this is a question for attorneys, not for us.
okay, all right. Yeah, I just wanted to,
and I've
Bring it out,
already,
yeah,
okay,
I've
'cause it
already
was-
started that conversation with town council.
okay,
We're
yeah.
gonna revisit Exhibit B with
Okay.
your objections,
all right.
and I'm gonna get an opinion from him for the board.
That's what I was gonna
Yes.
ask today, yeah,
Yes.
an interpretation.
We've already started.
Okay.
And what I would also ask of you
Yeah.
is you probably contact your attorney and have him ask the question in his language, so the answer is an answer that's satisfactory to him instead of to us.
Sure,
Because
absolutely.
we're not attorneys.
So
don't
now
pretend to be.
that we're talking about a sale rather than a lease renewal.
Yeah.
I think Exhibit B, your attorney needs to restate those objections.
Okay,
So what are the objections if you are now a buyer
right,
instead of renewing the lease? What issues do you have, so we know what exactly to rectify?
sure.
okay?
Or if it
Yeah,
ever
we just wanna
needs
make
to be
Or if
sure.
it needs to be
Yeah,
ratified.
well, you're also,
Yeah.
your bank is gonna wanna know your
Yeah,
house,
Absolutely.
Right.
yeah.
and they're gonna have more concerns than
Now,
your lawyer and
there's a new
anybody else.
owner of the property. and
There
those
is a new
easements,
owner.
Right, so those.
All those easements were
Carry forward.
transferred,
Okay,
exactly, there were no changes to the
They
easement.
can't change an easement when they buy a property.
Right.
Without all parties' consent.
I see, yeah.
So, Mark, I have a question. You've been involved closely with us on quotes and proposals and estimates. And as you know, we get proposals and it'll be May 1st. It'll say good for 30 days.
Yeah.
Then if we're gonna do something, we get another one. We haven't done anything yet.
Yeah.
So as we decide, okay, let's tackle problem A, and we'll get a firm proposal, an estimate. Do we go to you to sign off on it, to say, yes, this is
Oh, that's up to
acceptable? Okay,
It's up to the board, and we have to figure out where we are on this.
okay.
Figure out what the big picture is and the small picture. But yeah,
Well,
So what do
I
you rise
used
from
your
you-
number, so just, from our prior discussions, I used 105, 228 for the brine pumps.
Right,
Because you had a proposal.
Yeah.
I have 160 for the chiller barrels, that's an estimate.
yes,
75 for the condenser towers, that's an estimate.
right.
And 100,000 for the Zamboni.
And that's, we don't know where that's
Because
gonna
who
fall.
knows
Right.
where that's gonna
Yeah.
end up, but I think we all agreed that we're not gonna buy the latest, greatest, brand new
Yeah.
at 150, so I allowed 100 for that.
Sure.
That comes to 440,000.
So if real time, we wanted to do the brine pumps in the short window we have from September to October 15th, and I say firm on that, give you an official proposal, how do we get that done?
okay,
Well,
okay,
but-
but this is
but I
my
think-
initial thought on that.
Yeah.
We have so many dollars in, and left over, we have what we have there, that's all we have.
Understood.
So what we're gonna have to do is work out a method to figure out how, if you're gonna pay it, it's going to either go this way or that way. If you buy the place, it goes this way. If you lease the place, maybe we can reconsider and come in, and I don't know if we have the ability to do that or not. We would have to talk to our
Well, but
council.
here's how, so the original purchase price was 506,000, that's in the lease. The capital improvements, whether we have spent it already, 2 years ago or whatever, or whether we spend it on the balance of your repair projects now, we're gonna spend 150K.
Right.
All right, so the financing that needs to be done is $656,000.
Right, yeah.
That,
Mark, I don't think
and-
that's the question
and-
they're asking.
well, but
And what I'm
that's,
asking,
I think he's asking if he wants to order the chillers, how does it get paid for? Can you make the decision to help him out to pay for it? I mean, we've got that
I
60.
can only do that up to the 50K that's
Right.
left or
So,
whatever.
so if you want,
no, that's,
if
Go
you
ahead.
want a methodology
Yeah.
to say, we can give you 50, but
Right.
it's another 110, but you want something to say, if we don't buy it, what are you gonna do? And if you're gonna do this, if you want something other than changing, other than you assuming the 110 with all the risk to you, it has to come before us to figure it out.
okay. Yeah, I want someone to sign off to say, yes, we understand this was a necessary repair. If you don't buy the building, you're out of luck. But if you do buy the building, that'll be considered after the fact.
Yeah, I-
That's all so what, because we're shutting down literally Labor Day, and we open up again October 17th. So if I want to schedule one of these repairs and we have to pay for part of it, how do we make sure that's included later on?
Okay, but the bottom line is though, the 656, whether it gets spent on capital improvements or whether it gets paid in the buyout,
Right,
the number for the town does not change.
Right,
It's 656.
right,
Okay, so in those four things that I just listed off, we're all in agreement.
okay,
We just need to come up with a written agreement
sure.
of these items,
Yeah.
not the cost of them. But these items will be considered as capital improvements in the interim period while you're securing financing.
yeah.
So can we get that?
Yeah, so approval. So Mark, hypothetically, if you
Right,
didn't
have
use
your
the
attorney
reserve fund that's left over, what would happen at the time of purchase to that 50,000? that was in there.
Well, okay, so if we only spent 100,000 out of the 150.
Right.
Then the purchase price would go down to 606.
Okay.
So it's all the
Yeah,
same.
all right.
It's all the same. It's all the same.
money. Yeah.
It's all the
Yeah.
same.
The
money.
money's there, but
The
the
bottom
only
line is the 656.
But the only money we can give you is what's in there.
And
We
I
can't
can
do
only physically write the checks for what
So
I
we may
in
have
the
to-
account.
We may
You
have
may
to,
have to find.
we may have to
internal
front
financing.
10 grand or
That's
20 grand here out of a project,
Whatever.
say it was 70K.
Yeah.
And we just wanna know later on
It
that,
comes off,
It'll
anything
come
you
off.
spend that's capital.
and we understand if we walk away, then we lose it.
And I think,
Yeah.
and I think, so we use today as the date. And
Okay,
we say your capital improvements from today to closing
Mm-hmm.
will all get credited if they're approved by the board in writing, whatever,
Okay.
however the wording
Yeah.
is. It'll all get credited towards the 656,
okay.
okay?
So can that be approved outside of a board meeting? The reason I
No,
asked,
not really.
Again, okay.
It
We
needs to
can
be
have a
board
special
vote.
meeting if
They can
we're
have a
rushing
special
it.
meeting, but they
just
need.
time wise, when do you,
Timing.
is it every
They
2
meet
weeks?
they meet
Every
twice
other-
a month.
Twice a month.
But if you have a rush and you can get some, call us.
Okay.
We'll try.
I mean, it's all in the works, but we'd like to.
Right.
Just have that signed up.
Yeah, I mean, does that answer your
Yes,
question, John,
yeah,
as far as?
that's perfect. Yeah.
And so I think the quicker we get that agreement
Yes.
formulated.
Yeah.
And I do have a call into town council to sit down and go over this.
Okay. All right, I think we're in.
I think so. The timeline is to keep working on this. And
Yeah. Well, we have to get it over.
Well, we have to,
Yeah,
because,
that's what our
yeah,
intention
now,
is.
the other thing I'm verifying with council, I don't think that there's no town meeting involvement in this. The lease that was.
No, I think we have to give you
agreed to
60
was the
days
select-
notice.
Well, but it's the Board of Selectmen that, now,
The lease
there'll
governs
probably
that.
be public hearings or whatever they want to do to communicate to the town, but the lease is a board function. It doesn't take ratification at town meeting.
Yeah, I think we already
So we
have
don't
that
have to
option.
worry
yeah.
about
Yeah,
much.
because we already went through that
Because we already went
process.
through
and
that
we did
process when we did the
Yeah,
lease.
right.
The only thing I would say is we would have an informational
The
public hearing.
informational
Yeah,
public
because we
hearings.
want everyone
Yeah,
to know what's going on.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, but the final vote will be the select.
All right.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Well, thanks, guys.
Set.
Well, thank you for your time.
Always
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Let's move on to. You want to approve the minutes?
No.
Okay, like-
Sharon.
Sure.
Sharon.
Sharon's not here, so do you want to wait until she comes back?
Okay.
She's just doing.
Yeah,
All
right
great,
here.
we'll move on.
I have her minutes
You
right
got
here.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Judy can do them. Go for it.
All right, Rich, what do you got?
On the 26th, the one thing I had, I'll just stick to the substantive stuff, and we could, I can talk to Sharon later about anything else I may have. I think it's just an error. Let me get back up to the minutes here. The very beginning, this is the 26th, yes?
Mm-hmm.
And are the times reversed? Is that what the issue is? If you look at the very beginning, non-public session, starting line 17 to line 23.
Yeah,
It should be when not at 3:23. Is that?
That's
That was
correct.
before I was here, remember?
that was
Right, you
Mike.
weren't here.
Mike didn't come
I
back.
came in late, and said.
Right, but I think the board came out of non-public at 3:01.
Oh, yes,
I think it's
right.
reversed.
Yes, got it.
Okay,
We went in at
Yes.
3:23.
On line
Said it right
23,
Yes,
on line 23.
okay.
and so the board went into non-public session at 3:01.
Yeah.
Came out of non-public at 3:23.
Yep.
That's the only thing I had in
Okay.
all of that draft.
Okay,
How about the 17th?
One substantive issue, everything else is minor.
What is that?
Line 137. Is it line 37? Let's see. Yeah, she both, but she also made the motion.
oh, yes.
And I don't recall which one I must have been the second, or was she the second?
We'll have to research.
Sharon can review, yeah.
Yeah, you see what I'm
Yep,
saying?
yep.
She both made the motion and seconded.
Okay.
So that,
Got
other things were minor.
Yep.
Typos and stuff
Well,
I get later.
Actually, I abstained, so I didn't have anything to do it. So it had to be you, Rich. One of you had to do it.
Right, I just can't remember.
Actually, it doesn't matter. So we'll put you down as the second
That'll work.
And did we say Mike abstained?
Next, the first line,
Yes.
next page.
Yes, you did have the
Okay, good.
extension.
Actually put my name in there.
Yes, Mike, with Mike, yeah. with Mike
1 minute,
abstaining.
Sharon.
Alright.
This was the only thing
I had
on this
nothing on
minutes, and then there
Yes.
were here on this one.
Was-
Okay.
yeah,
All right, 29th was good.
so,
Alright,
So Rich has got a couple of
Just typos.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk after
we'll
the-
talk separately on that.
Sure.
alright, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the motion to approve the minutes of June 26th as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, is there a motion to approve the minutes of July 17th as amended?
I so move.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I will make a motion to approve the minutes of July 29th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, so we can move on to the financial report.
Thank you. I had to say goodbye to my grandson and my
Oh.
dog, so. That was my exit.
All right, I have general government.
Yeah.
Up at 72. Was there something new there or is it just always been on that?
General government, oh, that's the payment schedule on the WVAI, or not WV, Array Center for 25,000.
Okay, so that's,
And it's a timing issue with the payments. WVAIA has been paid,
okay,
we paid the buses, the majority of the buses.
okay. And streetlights?
Yeah, streetlights have been all over the
We
place
have that
this
weirdness
year.
with them again.
Yes, and so we've got to,
Are
Judy
you
left.
guys talking about the solar lights?
No,
No.
the electrical, the power charges have been all over the place.
Yes.
And
our
they-
streetlights are
they haven't
regulated with
followed-
weird charges.
They're all
Yeah. They're
flat
all different.
charges or supposed to be.
Yeah.
We'll try to, we are watching it. It's gonna go over this year. Just not sure how much. But,
All right. And I didn't have anything else on finances for you?
That was good.
okay, so while we're on finances, can we
Yeah.
talk about the revenues?
Why,
Revisions?
certainly.
All right, so you got a report in
revenues.
front of you? You've got
These
a
are-
copy?
this is not-
Do you have your copy?
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's okay, I got another, you can follow along.
Oh, thank you.
So the bottom line, if you go to the back page, second page, the bottom line is we're recommending, okay, we're in the recommended adjusted, which is the last white column. With the recommended adjustments, the revenues will be down from what we projected at town meeting by $19,730. That equates to 6 cents on the tax rate. It is unfortunately primarily with the boats being closed for a month and a half, well, a month, and we lost some of our rentals and stuff on the beaches. We had to turn those away. And just the slow start to the summer from what we projected. It's primarily in rec.
The biggest one is, it's easy to see here. It's, what were our numbers last year? What did we do offhand book last year for boat rentals?
The dollar amount?
Yeah, because you had 40 in the budget for this year, so I'm sure we were fairly close to that.
Yeah, I think it could have been 45.
Right, and we did
Yeah, and we
25.
projected
And we did
55.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what, that's what.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I think, we're fortunate in the fact that ambulance revenues and detail rate revenues for public safety are up.
But isn't detail revenues a pass-through?
Not all of it. Some of it benefits the town. We
Okay.
charge more than we end up paying the individual doing the detail.
Mhm.
And those Guilford has asked all area police departments to help at Meadowbrook this summer which we did not project as a revenue. So that's part of what they're on.
I got another one.
Yeah.
This is confusing here. Franchise agreements, we had 22,039, they only gave us 12,000, do they owe us money?
They do. They'll owe us they have payments that they'll make between now and the end of the year. So we're not recommending changing it.
Okay, so that's on the other side, September, your estimates on that.
Yes,
That column there. Gotcha.
end of year estimate balance.
Good, cemeteries have been low, which is good. Good, so the cemetery looked great, I was up there Saturday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
The
was up
stone,
there.
the stone looks good. The one thing I would think of that could be a little bit strange going forward is there's a certain lack of uniformity to the plaques we're putting on the stone.
A uniformity as to,
Meaning they're just a little bit different, and I'm wondering if it's gonna look like a hodgepodge when we get more.
Wow, they're made by the same company. I thought they
right, and
looked-
it may have something to do with the amount of
Lettering.
letters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is funny, that was the first thing that caught my eye from.
Yeah.
So it looked
Yeah,
great.
now that you mention it, yeah, I can see that, but
Yeah.
I got a feeling it's, lettering.
It could
I think
be
it's up to
the
4
lettering and what
lines.
was written on it.
Up to 4 lines?
I think so.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
4-line maximum, but I think some people have
I think
opted
some
for
would put
just
like
3
one big
lines.
line.
Right.
Or one
something.
large,
And
yeah.
that could be it, but no, I think the cemetery looks great.
Thanks. I'll pass
So
that along.
the process for this, we'll continue to watch this until the last week of August. If we recommend any other changes, I'll send that out in an email. Otherwise, we'll put these numbers in and we will have you come in individually and sign the 434 so we can upload it,
Okay.
okay? Because those have to be turned in by before September 1st, so before your next meeting. Okay? Can I get just a motion to approve these contingent on no further changes?
I will make that motion. Is there a second?
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Important stuff now. Let's move on to reappointing our town health officer. I will make a motion to reappoint Chris Hodges as town health officer.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The Dunphy letter, you have a chance to read the Dunphy letter?
I did.
Do you know the Dunphys?
I do not.
The Dunphys were a long-established Waterville family. They still own properties here.
Mhm.
And I see absolutely no reason
Look good
to
to me.
deny their request. So can I hear a motion to approve that?
You're okay with that?
I'm fine.
I so moved.
That's only Ashes too.
Well, yeah, but I just had Jim check to make sure that there was no
There's room.
issue because she wants the ashes placed on top of a lot that's already being used. If there's casketed remains,
Mhm.
so we're putting, and Jim said
Oh,
that
yeah.
that's good to go.
Okay,
I'm fine.
so you're not going really as deep, right?
No, absolutely not.
Is there a guideline to how deep we have to go with the casket remains?
Yes.
And how deep is that?
Well, contrary to popular belief, it's not 6 feet under, it's more like 5.
Okay.
4.5 to 5.
Is that
Depending
5 at the
upon-
bottom or 5 at the top?
Or if-
Is it 5 at the bottom or 5 at the top?
Both. What?
No, meaning is the bottom of the grave 5 feet or is the top of the casket 5 feet?
No, the bottom of the grave is 5 feet, then you've got about approximately 3 feet to 40 inches for the vault. Casket goes inside the vault. Cover goes on top.
Okay, so from the top of the vault to the top of the earth, how?
Couple of feet.
Couple of feet, and a normal cremated remains is?
Depending upon the size of the box.
Yeah,
Some are a little deeper, but, usually no more than 18 inches, 20 inches.
so we're not gonna run into a thing if we had like a lot of water to wash some topsoil away, that we're gonna have cremated
You'll have the
remains.
cremains will go in and the marker will go over the cremains.
Okay, this is someone. who
And the
knows
marker
about
is
this, and
4
anyone could
inches.
ever ask.
It's a family.
Yeah, no, I'm asking this question because
Yeah,
you would know.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting to know because I think these are things that might not be uncommon going forward.
Right.
Especially in families that have been here for generations.
Mhm.
Right.
That hold this place very.
Yeah. Of course, due to the topography of our cemetery,
Yeah.
you'll be 5 feet on one side and 7 feet on the other.
Well, that's why I was kind of wondering because of the slope.
Now I get what you
Yeah.
were getting at. Yeah.
So I move to approve the request.
I will second the request. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, Primex, they're giving us a holiday? Again?
Yeah, surprise.
On our
It
business.
was time for us
When have
to-
we not had a holiday?
Oh, well, there were a couple, 3 years that we didn't have a holiday.
Is this workman's comp as well?
It's both.
That's right, because we had the issue with workman's comp where we were in penalty as opposed to a holiday.
Yeah, now we're clear of the penalty period. But, as I wrote in my memo, do you want me to talk to travelers again and put Primex on notice? Or do you want to just let,
I think we owe it to the town to investigate all options, so let's talk to travelers.
okay,
Which also makes Primex stand up and give us a better deal. Well, they have to.
that's kind of why I think we got the $5,000
Right.
check. Because they know.
Okay, do we have to sign this health?
No, you don't, that's just for informational purposes.
All right, so, any questions on the Primex thing? Rich?
No, I agree.
Do you understand how that works?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, the health officer.
The health officer, I think
Yes,
that
the
does
health
require
officer.
sign,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
Well,
yeah,
Yeah,
the
I got-
original.
I got the original.
I filled it all out with as much as I could, I think.
Okay, so that takes care of that stuff. We'll go up to calendar review. I'm not going anywhere.
I'll be here for all 3 meetings. I'll be gone all next week,
Okay,
Gone next week.
but I'll be back, what is it, the 24th, Saturday, 24th?
Okay,
doke. So that takes care, with Margaret, we'll just let her know about I'm sure she knows when they are.
yep, she got the packet, so
Yeah.
I'll make sure that if there's an issue.
Okay, correspondence. The replacement of the computer operating systems to Windows 10.
Yeah, that is something that you're gonna see on the capital improvements program. Basically, all of our machines are currently running on Windows 7 Pro.
Yeah.
Windows 7 Pro will no longer be supported by Microsoft as of January 1st, which means there'll be no security updates or anything like that.
What? I'm on Windows 7. I
Yeah,
like-
well, you need, I love it, but unfortunately, without the security updates, as soon as one piece of new malware comes out, you're completely,
10's been around for a long time. I'm
And-
surprised it's still supporting it.
Well, I heard something where 10's gonna be discontinued. Do we wanna go to 11?
well,
It's one louder.
we can't do that because of our third party software. It all has to be tested to work with the operating system, so
How much does it
we
cost?
verify. Well, we're negotiating with the computer company because of our annual
Is
support.
this still Coachy?
They owe it, no, it's not COSI, we now. use
Certified computers.
Certified computers out of Northwood. So as part of their annual maintenance program, they support up to X number of computers a year. We may be able to get all of them done because we have 2 years remaining on our
How much is
contract.
this contract a year? We should be able to look at it.
It's about 35,000.
37.
But that's 24/7 plus
Oh, no, I know,
hosting on
I
our
know.
backup and all that, right? So, but it's about 35,000 a year. Right? So hopefully we can get them to do all of the systems, so we're not running half on 10 and half on 7,000. So if we can do that, then we have no problem We may have to wait until 2020 and budget some amount in the CIP to finish paying for
Is
that.
that one under general government?
No, it's under IT. It's under IT. In fact, the majority of the budget for the IT
And IT
services.
was what, 43?
43
6.
total, but there's other contracts in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so what do we need to do about that?
Nothing, it was just an informational thing. I didn't want you to get blindsided in the budget.
Okay. All right, drinking water standards, we got their letter.
Yeah, the issue with the drinking water standards is we have the standards that they have adopted are now the most stringent standards in the entire country for PFAS and PFOS, which is contaminants, man-made contaminants. Those standards are the result of all the issues they've been having in the
Down in-
southern
yeah.
portion of the state with contamination. The concern that Rob Burho has expressed to me is the fact that we have plastic pipe which brings the water from well 4 to the new treatment building, and we have plastic pipe that's being used in residence now.
Right.
So because the contamination levels are so stringent now, just the smallest thing like a plastic transmission pipe or some plastic piping in a new house could potentially cause us issues.
Hmm.
Not that anything is contaminated, it's just that we're talking
The guidelines.
trillions. The guidelines now are
But we won't be the only ones that.
parts per trillion.
No,
No,
you won't be alone.
But these are really, really
What,
tough standards.
what would happen if we had to put a plastic liner in that underground
Well,
line? Is
that's
That's what I see as the most feasible way to.
on Snows
fix
Mountain Road, yeah, potentially. Yeah, that's the kind of thing
Yeah.
that we may be limited in what
Mhm.
we can do because of these guidelines.
Okay.
So it'll be something to watch, and I just wanted to make you aware that those have been wonderful.
All right, BBTS, asking for tax exemption and.
Well, actually, we've already
Yeah.
granted them.
Right.
This is a renewal of what's been granted. So this is a form that they fill out every year. So unless there were issues that you had with it.
See, let me ask you a question. This is a proprietary school, correct? They claim to be nonprofit, I think. Is it a nonprofit?
It's a 501c3, yeah,
501c3, yeah. So they are registered.
because it's a ski education
So what do we do? We
foundation.
exempt the first 100,000, is it?
Yes,
Of value.
yep, a value
Is that
of the
a New
land.
Hampshire statute or is that a
Yes.
town?
Good deal.
Yeah, I was wondering if we could work on profit or gross dollars. But I guess the state statute would supersede anything we come up with.
Yeah.
And we can't come up with stuff because they won't let us do it.
They won't let us.
Right, so we don't have any choice, so do we have to approve this?
No, you don't have to approve it as long as it would be more of if there were a problem with the
Right.
renewal because you questioned
Yeah.
there. But their status is good.
Yeah.
Sharon
Mhm.
checked it, it hasn't changed.
All right, board concerns and directives, got anything, Rich?
Just one thing I wanted to get on the record for the board. The planning board met last week and Craig Larson addressed the board. I won't say he had proposals, I would say he wanted to begin a discussion of what can be done to deal with the parking issue that he has, not just in the winter with the tubing, but apparently on Saturdays now he has a parking issue. And his point was that he can solve it on his property, were he to pave some of his property to do so, and that's not something that he thinks he wants to do, and that he thinks that we would not want him to do either. So he raised a possible solution that is looking at parking across Valley Road, a temporary solution there, to see if something would work there. And we're gonna work with Mark to come up with the exact, a more exact plan. The board was agreeable to see what this would look like, the planning board, that is, before coming forward with a recommendation to the select board. Does that about cover it, you think?
Yeah,
There's a third party involved, I should say, when you're going across the road.
yeah, and the
It's-
land,
to
you know,
put this
depending on where
Yeah.
where the on-street parking would be
Is the
located.
state has the town's right of way, but it's also going to involve
Probably will involve private land.
private land,
And
not
Mike,
his own.
I've mentioned it to Mike, and Mike
Okay.
had a question about the sidewalks too, so.
Yeah, it's, I really have
Whatever.
to see this because we
Right,
get
I
so,
think that's
so
what we
much
want.
of an issue with just regular people trying to get through there and people walking, where it could create some real tension if we maintain this area for someone to park, where people feel we're not maintaining it for people to walk. So let's see what the plan is. That's just my thought.
No, I think that's where everyone left it.
Yeah.
At the planning board, and I just wanted to raise it as something that's will come to the attention of the select board at some point for more formal decision
Probably at the September
at the September meeting. That's it.
And all of the hardware is now on site. We're just waiting for installation of the security cameras
Oh,
at the transfer station. And Mike, Jim wanted me to share this with you. Last Friday, the crew cleared off this shelf and they painted.
We
the
cleaned
do
out the
not-
whole building.
No paint.
There's two of
cleaned
those
out-
signs there.
And we put
Uh,
no paint signs on, and that's what we found on Monday morning.
I have to, I have to tell you,
Is some of that paint
No.
yours?
no.
maybe they thought it meant don't paint the wall.
Yes, that's what I'm reading it as.
Oh.
Don't paint the wall. Please do not leave paint cans here. No paint is too vague on a piece of
Right.
unpainted
Okay, we're
wood.
not painting the wall.
You know, we have people that are
The
too
sign
smart.
gets bigger.
No, I can understand somebody not understanding the full
Or claiming
ramification of
not
it because it's on a piece of unpainted wood. Whereas if you had someone goes, please do not leave paint here. This is not the proper paint, no paint
Paint
disposal. You know, that would make it a little bit clearer. You have to remember,
Paint disposal
we
illegal.
deal with people that are very, very, and sometimes too intelligent.
I noticed stop doesn't work either, so they're just.
Yeah,
Well, once we get into the
It's very
process,
true.
I'll share a story. Are we done with our regular thing?
Well, one more question, and it goes back to the trash. We've had a request
Oh, from High Country.
from High Country to put a dumpster back that we removed. I wanted to share with the board that we removed the dumpster because of, we can't use the regular size dumpster in their enclosure because of the way it is sloped in front of it. However, the dumpster we've put in there, the only dumpster that works, a lot of people cannot open it.
what do you mean they can't open it?
Well, it's one of the flat ones without the side
Oh, you mean you have
doors.
to lift up?
You have to lift
I
it up.
got you. Okay.
Now, we cut the cover, but
Right,
even the half cover that
It's
we
too much for
have
some
is
people.
too much for some people.
Yeah.
The problem that I'm having is that people, instead of, they've been instructed by their property manager that they need to, if they can't lift the lid, that they need to bring their trash here to this transfer station. They are not doing that.
Right, but
They are dumping bags on top of or
Yeah.
next to the dumpster.
nice and flat,
And
and low.
and now he is clearing that off twice a week on Mondays and Fridays. However, the property manager can't keep up with the bags on a daily basis, so we have trash that is hanging around.
All right. what would enable, is there physical space for this structure rebuilt to compound?
Yes, they can rebuild it and they know what needs to be changed and they have a plan for doing that in the next 2 years. But they can't do it right now.
Why can't they do it right?
Because it involves taking the whole pad that they currently have there out and redoing the entire pad. Because when the truck backs up, it is
Yeah,
slow,
no,
right? And so we can't hook on to the dumpster.
is there an alternate site in High Country where we could put a dumpster that will
No.
work?
There is none.
Tim hasn't said no yet.
Because I gotta think about it, but, I don't believe there is, and if there is one, it would be way out back, away from everything.
But if it works, this is obviously not working for anybody. It's not working for us, it's not working for them. So
I don't think they're gonna walk to where, and I don't know if we can get the truck into.
No, that's the question. If you
Well,
have a
that-
truck in it,
but
it doesn't
I have to
work.
go take a look at it and do a test run, you know?
Yeah. No, let's see what we come up with, a few ideas to get something moving along. It might be that they might have to rebuild the dumpster now and maybe,
Well, if they can't rebuild the dumpster now, what I would like is the board's permission to pull the dumpster and require people to come here. Mike, but
I hear you, but I don't wanna do that right now. I think we need to look into an option before we tell 65 unit owners who are paying $15 a month, $15 a quarter for a trash fee, that they have to deliver their trash down square. After they've been used to having a dumpster.
okay,
We might, if we come up with an alternative
Possibly not.
of them rebuilding it and they look at what the cost would be, maybe they'll jump ahead on the 2 year.
okay.
Do not people who live in homes pay the same?
Yes, but these people, it's, you're taking away an enjoyment people have had. It's not like they've never had it before.
Well, okay.
You know
But
what I mean?
I view it only as a temporary thing until they can make the capital improvement.
Well,
The issue is not a town,
no,
issue.
that's the point I'm making, Mark, but I think if we point out to them that we're willing to try to work with alternatives, there aren't any, and this is your alternative to do this, but I don't want to be arbitrary without coming up with a plan of some kind of research to it.
So we'll exhaust every avenue we can
Yeah, let's look
as
into
far
it.
as the solution goes.
Right. And
And
we can
then
give them
we'll,
some solutions, and maybe they're not gonna like the solution, so our solution might be our solution, or they will have to come here. But I think we have to explore it, we can't just say this.
okay, but I don't view this as just saying it. We've been working with them for weeks on this.
Okay, see, I haven't
They-
seen that, I just got the email.
Right.
I mean, no,
He's not-
months.
He's not accepting, no. He's not accepting.
It's been
the answer.
months, Mark, remember?
Months.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, we've told them, we've been out there twice with the property manager
And
Property-
with the,
and with the
the
person
president.
who's writing the emails.
Right.
We
okay,
have shown him what needs to be done. They have come up with a plan to do it, but it's 2 years out. And he wants us to make a change during the 2-year period.
but what can
And
we do to change it? Here's
We
the thing,
can't.
is there another kind of dumpster we could buy that's specific for that would fit? Can we get a dumpster for a few $100 or $1,000?
Not for that little, I mean, it would be more than that. If we could find one
Well,
that met the
let's look
specifications.
at it as an option before we, see, they're taxpayers, we owe this to them. I always know where it went on for months, and I've kind of gotten thrown into it, and the board's gotten thrown into it just recently.
Am I
Okay?
allowed to speak on it or no?
Sure, you're part of the community.
From the dumpster and the board perspective, I can tell you that unless they've contracted already, there's no way they're gonna get a pad poured now. So it definitely wouldn't happen. till
Yeah, but
next
what I'm
year.
saying is maybe we can find a place to put one for the winter, for them to do it next.
Right, but they would be put one in like that they wouldn't be responsible for having the dumpster enclosure for?
I don't even
Well,
know.
I would say that the other taxpayers in the town shouldn't pay for the special dumpster. If we can find a special
I'm
dumpster,
not saying that
and-
we have to pay, maybe they
and
would pay
they,
for a
they
special
need to
dumpster.
pay for the special dumpster.
But let's give an alternative before they say, we're not doing anything, we have to.
Okay,
you have to
well,
come
we
down."
will, like
Say
Jim
we-
said, we will exhaust every
Say
possible.
we found you a dumpster, it's $3,400. Here you go, would you like to buy the dumpster?
I'll like call Witcher and see if they have some more one to rent, kind of thing.
We'll
Yeah.
try to find other options for them.
I don't think it should go on much longer.
I agree, but
I think you explore it, in reasonable time. I think you spent enough time on this, in my own opinion. And it may take three of us.
Yeah.
But I'm not with you on this one.
Okay,
It may take three of us to vote on.
no, I'm sure, I'm just aware of this recently, so. And I was
Well,
aware
we're
of the first
trying to
problem.
keep you guys from getting involved because there's really no reason for you guys to be involved. We gave them the options. They walked away from the meetings and they didn't say anything to us.
All right, see,
And then you guys start getting emails after we've been dealing with
okay,
it. And, you know,
that's good to know, but I just
It's
can't
really
today say to them, hey, you gotta bring your stuff to the dump.
Okay.
You know, maybe next meeting we can do that.
okay, we will
Yeah.
work on other options.
Okay?
Yep.
Anything else?
Nothing from
All right, do we have non-public?
non-public.
Okay, go We'll go to adjourn and go into non-public and yada yada.
Are you leaving?
Or,
No,
You're staying?
I think so.
Yes, he has to stay. Do you want to
Oh,
go?
You're firing me.
Oh, okay,
No,
I don't
we're
think
not
so.
firing you. Do you want to